Good morning. Everybody can hear me? Right, okay. Yeah, good morning. Thanks for joining. Christoph Laeubrich and me, Gilles. We will talk about dependency management using target platform files. We will talk about weird attempts to find solutions. And we will talk about the real solution, M2 Eclipse. And before we start, I'd like to make a quick show of hands, because I'd like to know who I'm talking to. Who has ever used or is still using so-called user libraries to add artifacts, libraries to his projects? Okay, poor souls, I'm with you. And who made the effort in the past or now and created so-called library bundles, where you put your jar in the bundle and export everything and name it like it is? Okay, it's common. And who went the easy way and just put the jar on the bundled class path and use it? All right. So, and who's using target platform files? Great. Okay. So we all made the same mistakes, and we are in there. So I'd like to start with maybe my point of view about target platform files. I think it's a great tool to structure large amounts of artifacts or libraries or dependencies, if you like. Also, I think the first or the main use case for the target platform could have been to decouple the actual working IDE with the IDE you are planning your project to deploy with. So you're working with the latest Eclipse IDE, but the product is 10 years old, and you compile it against the old Eclipse version, and that's the target platform just perfect for. Yeah, as well as for different platforms, of course. And I think very important is that you have an actual user interface to manipulate the target platform. It sounds so simple, but I think it's very important. As well as, of course, integrated in the build without making any stunts to convert it to something else. Just use the target platform with the beautiful, great Tycho plugin. So, what I personally not like so much, to be polite, is that the target platform is, in the end, a collection of jar files, and I think the pity is that these jar files are materialized. They actually reside somewhere, and that's your update site. And same goes out for a branch from this update site. You have to materialize it again, and this goes on. And it's maybe not a problem if you only have, I don't know, 2 or 3 update sites and they don't change very regularly. But at my current job at Swiss Federal Railways, it's a long-term OSGi-based, RCP-based project, but that doesn't matter. But we have problems I think many of us have. Modern projects, I think, tend to, because it's hip, tend to go away from the monorepo. So, same goes out for SBB. They want to have thousands of repositories with small modules, easy and fast to build. And in the end, everything will be assembled to one big product, and this will be deployed. So what we have now, we have 87 different repositories responsible to take part in the build of the final product. And 60 of these repositories are actively contributing libraries or artifacts which are used in the target platform. So if you have like 6 or 7 teams constantly every 3 days releasing new versions of the library, and you are working with a target platform which includes these libraries, it'll get messy. So, and despite the fact that there are thousands of branches, I haven't counted them, to be honest, but it's something in the thousands, more or less active. long-term feature branches which have to live for 3 months or something like this. And yeah, the problem was, on one hand, the strong desire for modularization, and on the other hand, using target platform. So how do we do that? And then we came up, I say it's a hack. It's just to say, to illustrate a problem and a probability solution for it. So we came up with a web service. It's called P2 proxy because it proxied the artifactory for P2. So it was a man-in-the-middle kind of thing. And this proxy replied to URLs, as I depicted here, which had the Maven coordinate in the URL. So the proxy decoded the URL, go to the artifactory, get the jar, store it in a cache, and send it back to P2 with some hacky content jar and artifacts jar. I mean, this is not public API, so don't do this, okay? This is not here, that's the way it goes. Don't, because it's not documented and it's not supposed to be extended. I think that's my point of view, but we didn't know better, right? And yeah, and then we could easily disassemble our target platform file with all these libraries. Each library was then a separate location. The URL looked like this. So for each of the 188 libraries, we had one of these locations. So, and I think you can guess this had some drawback. I mean, on one hand, we solved the problem with scalability. So now we were able to create infinite amount of branches, right? Because it's only a file with different URLs pointing to a different Maven coordinate. And the materialization is in the artifactory or in the normal world, Maven Central. Yeah, we solved the scalability problem maybe, but we brought in another problem because making update plugin dependencies with this beast, it took ages. And then we had 80 developers being able to do their job, but they have to wait. So it was, you know, I don't know, yeah, it was weird. So it wasn't a good solution. And besides of thinking about the right solution, we were so absorbed by fixing bugs for the developers and responding to emergency calls and whatnot. So yeah, and that's the point where I hand over to Christoph, because yeah.
All right. Yeah, while the P2 proxy has great benefits, as we heard, it suffered from one big problem. It still requires additional infrastructure and is not portable outside of the SBB development. So if SBB would decide, okay, we like to make something of our code open source, for example, then it's very hard because outside of SBB no one could use this P2 proxy. And someone has to manage the proxy, keep it up running, all this stuff. So let's take a look at a fully integrated and portable approach. We're using existing PDE and M2 Eclipse features, the so-called Maven target support. First, we take a look at how to enhance PDE targets itself. There are actually two parts involved. One is the model and one is the UI. The model part is quite simple and provides just a way to transform an XML fragment from the target into an object so we can use it in the Java world. For that, we have a factory that parses the fragment of a given location type and creates a location. You remember what Gilles said before about locations. That location object is then used for actually resolve the included bundles of features into something that PDE can understand. And one important part is that the location needs to serialize the XML back as an object back into an XML, while the factory is for the other way around. So you have to take care that they both match. Then the UI part, the main task is to integrate with the with the wizard, where you can add new locations. And there you have a target location wizard, where you can access the current target, you can query what locations are already there, and you can edit stuff with the adapter padding, you can provide labels and icons, so it looks very nice, and that's what's actually visible to the user, and what's Gilles said, it's maybe most important to the user, and the users are you, hopefully, because we are visual people and we just want to click buttons. Even if we can edit files, we often don't remember how all this stuff is named, so a UI is very important. This all is then combined using M2Eclipse, offers already Maven integration with Eclipse. That is, you can resolve artifacts, you can change settings and all that stuff. And M2E now plugs into this PDE stuff and allows a new target type. Tycho also supports the new target type, and thus you have the opportunity to just use it in the IDE as in the build, so you don't need to configure it twice. That's the main goal. Because before it was also possible to use Maven artifacts inside PDE, but that was different from that what Tycho understand, and Tycho has other support for the stuff that PDE don't understand, and so it was always, why does it work on my computer and why does it not work on the CI? And this finally gives a seamless integration with the IDE and the build, and now we want to take a look, how does it look in the IDE actually? The only thing you need to ensure is that M2Eclipse is installed, of course, but the good point is that since the last releases, it is already included by default by most Eclipse packages, so this is very great, and even the Eclipse SDK has finally support for it. Before they edited used the M2E target support, but they edited the file by hand, but that's not very comfortable, and there are ways to make it wrong, and then one wonders, okay, I added this item, why isn't it found? So the UI is really great here. So it's very simple. You just enter your artifact coordinates, and you can even just copy it, for example, from Maven Central Search. There's always a box you click in, they say copy to clipboard, and if you add it, then everything is just, the clipboard is parsed and everything is inserted. And then we have our bundle here in the target and can use it right now. I have just ticked the show location content here so we see the actual bundles. If you don't tick this, then you see a dependency tree like in the Maven POM editor. One very useful option is that we can also group items. As Gilles said, if you add everything as one location, then it can really become large and you don't know, okay, where does it belong? Have I already added it? And so you can add multiple items in one location, and you can also give it a nice label so that if you take a look at the target later on, you know, okay, this was Apache Commons. The only thing to consider is that if you put multiple in one location, then they all share the same settings, but that's often okay. But that's your personal choice if you want to have many locations or one group location. The only technical part is the settings. Often it's not really comfortable to add everything one by one. So you have add one dependency and say, oh, it requires this, it requires that. And actually Maven knows what is required. So you can choose to include dependencies with different deeps. One is infinite, that will include all transitive dependencies. You can say, I will only include direct dependencies, and you can choose different scopes that should be included. For example, compile or provided or runtime. The only thing you must take care here is that there are no inclusion rules. In Maven, for example, if you include test, then also compile is included, and there are many other rules, and you always have to look up, okay, what is included where. So we have chosen here to make it more simple. You just tick the ones you want, and everything else is excluded. So very easy. Yeah, you might ask, what happened if the artifact is actually not a bundle? And first of all, the best and most sustainable solution would be, of course, to contact the author and ask, could you please add OSGi metadata? And maybe we are all open source people, you help them and just open in PR, then it got merged and you use just the fixed artifact or enhanced artifact. If that's not suitable or you don't want to wait, then it's also easy and flexible with M2EE to achieve that. You can just choose that missing artifacts should be generated, or you can choose, if you include transitive dependencies, that you want ignored those that are not OSGi bundles. This could be that you say, okay, I already have this bundle in its OSGi form, maybe from Orbit or from wherever else, so I don't need it, or I just don't care. Maybe it works without. And if that is even not enough, you can use BND instructions to also control how the manifest is generated. I won't explain about how BND works. If you're interested, there's also a link on this page. You can just click and find the documentation where everything is better explained than we could do here in this short time. One very useful feature is also that you can generate a feature out of your location, because it is often not only the task to get the artifact into the build, but then if you build a product, you often has feature-based product, and then you say, okay, how do I get this into my product now? You can simply tick generate a feature, you enter some basic properties, and you are done, your feature is there. And if you have not noticed it yet, you also get sources and source features generated automatically. So that's also a special thing in PDE, that bundles that provide sources must have special headers, they must match their name, and so on. So that's also a bit, something you don't want to do manually, because it's very error prone. Okay, you can also add Maven dependencies that are features itself, and they will be used. That's quite new, so try it out, and if you find any issues, please report back. And now you should have a good overview what's possible. There's even more to know, so try it out, ask questions, and I will give back to Gilles so he can tell us something, how this has changed the way SBB worked with Maven targets.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I mentioned it already. I mean, working with the IDE and these damn locations, that was slow, but with the Maven dependencies, actually, I mean, it wasn't 2 hours, I'm honest, but it's really fast. The plugin update with a target platform consisting of accidentally 666 libraries, it takes like less than a minute, and on a normal Lenovo laptop thing. So this is something you can work with, and it was very nice. And due to the fact that we had each library in a location already, a simple script converted it to the Maven XML schema, so this was like a matter of minutes. So the migration was fairly easy, and and I think we are quite happy now, because we have a UI. We have a UI, and that was missing with this P2 proxy hack. Right. What's missing? There's the idea to extend Dependabot, but neither me nor Christoph know Ruby very well. So if there's anyone good with Ruby and can help, we might extend Dependabot on GitHub to also read target platform files. That could be nice.
Anyone using Ruby here?
Anyone coding in Ruby?
Hopefully you know someone. Please let them know.
Yeah.
We need their help.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think if it should have convinced you to use it if you're not already. And, yeah, sure, report issues, share ideas. We kept this talk very brief. We only have something like 25 to 30 minutes. And so we decided to make birds of feather tonight. If you like to join, if you want to bring your project and migrate to Maven, we could do that with a beer and some fun, free jokes included. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. A question, yes.
Yeah, a great idea. I will certainly try that. Do you have an example if we go on this?
An example?
An example Git repository?
Yeah, M2E itself used it, the platform build used it as well.
But when you are working on your Eclipse projects with the product and the feature and whatnot, you always have if you are working with Maven, you have a comp file. And my question would be, can I now use this to use dependencies right in the comp file instead of dependencies in the manifest files? Because when I work with jars in an Eclipse environment, I have to deal with two types of dependencies: bundle dependencies and normal jar dependencies. And my question would include whether this approach would help me with that as well.
Yeah, you can simply add the POM file as a artifact to the target, and then every dependency in this POM file is automatically added to the target.
Okay.
But you still have the problem that OSGi doesn't know that dependency, so at runtime when you launch it, that knowledge isn't there. It has to be in the manifest, something is generated. But
Yeah, but Tycho also supports this in the build, so if there are no manifests, then it is also generated in the build, and if you, of course you need to deploy it to your OSGi container, but
there's always, at least in my experience, a difference between the build with Tycho and what I execute, like tests in Eclipse itself. So that's an issue of PD plugins.
yes. Yeah.
Still some worlds colliding. Please.
Is there a reason for the generated artifacts starting this rect prefix? Because I would like to have it on, but I'm not sure if there are any problems if I do so.
There is no problem from a technical side, it's more a management side, because P2 works that way that if an EU has the same ID and version, then it don't look at that, don't download it. It say, okay, if it's the same, it is the same. So if you, because of that, we choose to use this default prefix to notice that people notice, okay, this is something, not the real artifact here. But of course, as you can tick the edit instructions, you can remove it. If, for example, for internal products, it might be no problem. Or you can choose some better name, whatever. It was just, we have to choose something that is not too long. So something, please be aware, this is not the original artifact, was a bit long. And Yeah, so we choose the wrapped prefix. There was also an idea, okay, maybe we can use the group ID as a prefix or something like that, but the problem here is that a target itself is never connected to a project. So if you have just a target file, you can't know the context where it lives. You can say, okay, it is located in a project that is also a Maven project, but that is not mandatory, and so we have chosen a rather, generic one. And it's a good way to use import package over require bundle. So then you won't never notice this prefix anywhere.
Sorry, I was a little bit late. I have an RCP with the target platform, maybe Python, and I'm pretty happy with my classical RCP dependencies, but now requirements are coming along to pull something from Maven Center. Can I have a target that is mixing them?
Yes, you can combine it with whatever target type you like. You can have update sites, folders.
One target can include another target. You can literally have multiple different target files. And this is very cool. They didn't mention it.
Yeah, that was also implemented. I can switch back. It's visible here. At the last item directly under Maven target file, you can also include one target into another, but this is not mandatory. You can combine any location you want.
And it can even be into a remote, like to a URL. It doesn't even have to be.
It could even be a Maven deployed target. You can deploy a target file to Maven and then use it again into a local target as a reference.
We even combine it using the target platform definition language, which is the X-text-based generator, to have one target, Maven, the empty Eclipse, filing another target, and then combining this in a root target. And so we have like 3 different ways of describing our functions as best as they fit for the specific architecture. And that works totally fine.
Great. Any more questions? Yes, please.
You said that the next few target platforms was that they are always materialized. Are these also materialized?
Come again, please.
Yes, they are materialized, but the point is that most projects already deploy to Maven Central. So the artifacts are already there. Or you have a Nexus repository where you deploy your company own artifacts.
And also materialize them into the .m2e, like they're physically located in the Maven cache.
They are they are from the Maven cache. Yes.
IDEs you resolve multiple times. Once it's on your machine, it's basically like a bundle pool that uses from the cache. So the second time you resolve it and materialize it, it's already on disk.
Yeah, often you have a Maven build already, and if you build it once, Maven has downloaded the artifact, and that's it. Also why it's very, very fast, because in almost all cases, the artifact is already there.
And it's great for working with snapshots if you were working on the library itself and stuff like this, without uploading to an artifactory or something. You can work from the local .m2 cache. Please.
Given that this works quite well, do you know eventually whether other projects plan to contribute current P2 artifacts more towards Maven also then in the future?
Yeah,
it's really hard work to do that. I mean, the platform is doing it, right? They're producing, I help them produce snapshot versions with the aggregator, but it's really a lot of work. And there's a lot of, because you need to generate the source artifact, you need to generate the Java docket to put them in a Maven repository. That's a lot of strict requirements that have to be PGP signed, and so it's a lot of work. But like the EMF does that, Xtext does that, the platform itself does that. There are quite a few projects that contribute their artifacts in Maven, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, but that's an important point. Just ask the projects, could you do this? I need this and want to use it with that feature. Yeah, or help them. Yes, of course. As always, yeah?
Could you show us target file? For example, Maven artifact, but with the texting stuff.
I have no slide provided, prepared for this, but it just looks like in the POM XML.
You have,
If you know how a POM XML looks, this is how the target file looks.
In the header?
It just has where a type Maven and then there follows a POM fragment. That's also why I think it won't be that hard to support DependerBot, because it is just need to know, please look also at target files and not only at files named POM XML. That's it. All right, I think we need to finish.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.